And good morning, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the Pass and Half Sports Show. I'm your host, James Scorza, with you, and with me, as always, is a group of companions on this very important Saturday. Joey Marks, how you doing? I know we had some little bit of technical difficulties, but we're back in the saddle. But how are you doing on this very important Saturday morning?
Just got in under the wire, James. Just got in under
Hit
the
the
wire.
post. Hit the
Yep,
post,
hit
and
the post. Yep.
yeah, that's exactly what I would call it. Hit the post, exactly right. And joining us today from our good friend over at It's a Rap Sports Network, our good friend Mike Lauro checks in. Mike, what's going on, my brother? How you doing?
What's going on, boys? Long time no see and hear from. How the hell are yous?
Good,
Only an
man. Oh,
Eagles
we're doing good.
championship. No big deal.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right,
you know
Joey.
me, I can't complain.
Hey, I got the tush push right here as my background. You damn Skippy.
We're gonna get into that later. Believe
oh,
me, there's a lot of tush talk going on today.
yeah, bunch of haters. Stop it. Then
Yeah.
you can do something about it.
Well, I'm going to
Mike,
be at
before
2,300 tonight, so I can understand there's going to be a slobber knocker about to happen here tonight, too.
yeah, well, Mike, I will say this. I know that with your partner Pat, you had a coffee rule. I want to make sure that with Tush Talk and all the other stuff that's going to go on, we are not going to cross any lines that's going to impede on the coffee rule.
Yeah, well, with Pat, you always gotta have some type of rule. He's always talking about
Yeah,
sausages and hot dogs and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I'm cool this morning because I know I'm with you boys, and you boys ain't
yeah.
gonna be doing that.
Yeah, yeah. But we got a
Well,
jam-packed show, so
yes.
Joe, so where do we begin? Where do we begin on this very important Saturday?
Well, we begin with a
Morning,
reason.
Mitch.
One of the main reasons why we brought Mike on. I brought your name up last week, and I wanted to bring you on to do my mea culpa. Uh, I'm a man, if not anything, by my word. I am not one of these hot take guys that flip flops all around. You were right. We're going to start with the Philadelphia 76ers. You were right.
Oh God, that dumpster fire.
Uh, so 2 years ago, about 2 years ago, me and Mike had a conversation, a heated conversation about trading Joel Embiid at his highest. This was right after he got the MVP. At his highest level, Mike's perspective was trade him while his stock is high. And I, much like a lot of people, was like, he just won the MVP. You don't trade an MVP. And Mike's perspective was, but he's not going to win you a championship, which is ultimately what you want. And that's absolutely correct. That's absolutely right. So, first things first, before we get into more of the Sixers talk, I did want to kind of give you a mea culpa to that. And I wanted to ask you, since that conversation, since the things have transpired, like obviously your opinion of Joel Embiid could not go any lower. But what is your outlook or your take on the Sixer situation with Joel Embiid?
Um, Joey, I was on that when we were at EOP. I was on that hill by myself. Like a lot, not just differences that with you or James on that opinion. I was against. It's kind of like the Matty B thing with Howie Roseman. That's
Mhm.
kind of how I kind of compare it. I was kind of on a hill by myself with that. The only reason I saw, like, not saw, I just watching the guy. Your best ability is your availability. This guy's always hurt, and this is why I said you'll never win with him because what's the one constant? They've changed everything else around with the Sixers, with the exception of Joel Embiid. He's the only constant. So this is telling me you can't win with this dude. And like when they went outside Paul George, I was like, okay, that's like putting a band-aid on a bullet hole. To me, honestly, I would give Joel one more year. I would let him go back, let him heal up, let him do what he's got to do. And I'm rooting for Joel. Let me say this. I want them to go and win a championship. I just don't feel the guy's got it in him.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's in his, like he don't have it in his ticker, man. The only time he gets up is for when somebody that like a Jokic or if they're playing LeBron, something like that. Like,
well, he's even been dodging Jokic, so you can't.
I know. Like I said, I think he's banged up. But again, though, when I made the statement 2 years ago about this is what I saw coming. You had a 7-footer who's got foot and knee problems. How?
Yeah,
They're not going to get better.
no.
You get worse. You get worse with age, not better.
And you know what? Here's the other thing about this is that with Joel, this has been now. This is the other question I have to ask you, because this is something that's also been brought up, and I don't know if I would classify it as an excuse to get him off the hook. That's why I'll ask you. Is this a Joel problem with his injury issues and his lack of healthiness, or is this an indictment to the franchise because they didn't do their due diligence to make sure he had the best care possible to make sure that their star player would be healthy?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you kind of got to. I don't blame Joel because he's, if me or you, if we're playing ball and somebody gives us an extension where it's going to make our family, secure for a couple generations, you're going to take the money. And so I don't fault him for signing the extension. I fault Daryl Morey for giving him the extension.
Yeah, and that's where Mitch is at too, because he says the Sixers gave him an extension and they knew that he was injured all along too. So yeah.
Well, here's my thing: like, if you want to preserve your health, I'm sorry, Joel Embiid shouldn't have played in the Olympics last year.
I agree.
He should not have played.
Rhea Hughes brought this up on the midday show today, this week, and that was, the extension that Morey gave him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have, before you sign any new contract, whether it's an extension or a new contract with a new team, you have to pass a physical.
Right.
So Rhea Hughes brought up, like, okay, in order to get that extension, in order to even sign that extension, he had to pass a physical. So how the hell did he pass a physical? Like,
Right.
That is a very interesting situation, because that makes me feel like the franchise is hiding something.
Yes.
And because if you're colluding to, fudge a physical to sign a star player that will sell jerseys for your team, despite how good or bad your team is, that just seems more business than competitive. Like,
you got to take a look at the top. And I'm going to be honest with you. Ever since Josh Harris and his group bought the Washington Commanders, the New Jersey Devils and the Sixers have become an afterthought. Yep. They really have. And I think personally, if the Sixers need to get out of this rut, somebody else has got to step up and buy this team. That's one. The ownership group here, that ownership group's a joke. Again, I keep saying it. I don't know what Daryl Morey's thinking, because you do have a young star in Tyrese Maxey. Also, Jarrett McCain before he got injured. So you had a couple pieces to kind of build around. And, like, this isn't going forward now, Joey. This is no longer Joel Embiid's team. This is Tyrese Maxey's team. And this is who you got to focus on building around. And I don't see the Sixers doing that. As far as getting around this thing with Embiid, he might have been healthy enough to pass the physical then, because I don't think you can really do. I think there's got to be somebody from the league that's kind of like around that, from what I understand. So you can't just sign him and go, oh, okay, yeah, he's good. We take our word for it. So, and I think it's kind of a thing with the Players Association with that. But no, I to me, again, you knew when you drafted him, he had foot, ankle, and knee issues.
Yes.
And if you're drafting somebody who's got that, that's a red flag right there. You got a window of an opportunity. That window's open and shut, man. I just don't. For me, I'm sorry. 2 years ago, when he was at his peak, you could have gotten a boatload for the Sixers. And now I love, my brethren over at EOP. But guess what? They're all sitting there. Half of them are looking at me going, you know what? Mike, you were right about this. And you just seen it coming. You seen it coming. You seen the breakdown.
Well, I mean, it got to such a point, and please, everybody, feel free to go subscribe with the Hardcore Sports Network, and when you get a chance, go take a look at one of the shorts that our good friend Mitch Kopsky cut from our last show
Mhm.
of just me going in and saying I am done with Joel Embiid now.
Yeah.
Like just much like the Ben Simmons thing. This is why I feel so jaded by the Sixers
Mhm.
because I bought in like lock, stock, and barrel with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Like those were our two pillars, and we just build around them. And I was like, man, this is the Twin Towers. I was putting them up on a pedestal before they even earned anything. And then
Right.
in succession, both those players just started to rapidly decline.
Well, the
And
problem
I just
is,
felt
oh, go ahead,
good.
Joey. Go ahead, Joey.
I just felt like, it was letting me down because as a fan, I was like, man, I put you on a pedestal. It doesn't matter what you do. I put you on that pedestal and you let me down. Now I feel like I have to do away with you.
And the funny thing is, you think about this, right? They drafted Nolan's Noel. They
Yeah.
drafted Jahlil Okafor, right? Now, both of those guys are not in the league anymore. Like, Embiid's career has outlasted theirs, I guess you could say. But, like, looking back on it, do you really think maybe they kept the right guy? I mean, seriously. And here's what it is. Like you said, they had the two pillars. Yeah, they had two pillars that they thought were strong and ready, but when they had to support the foundation, you found out those pillars were made of clay. Ben
Right.
with his head, and now Joel with his body. So
Yeah.
it was kind of but going forward, like I said, man, if I'm doing anything with the Sixers, I am building around Tyrese Maxey. And if I'm the Sixers, I want Joel to come back. I want give him this year, let him get healthy. Next year, trade deadline, you got to ship him. You got to ship him. Even if you got to eat
I
some of his
agree.
contract, ship him. Okay?
I want to see Maxey thrive in this league, even if it's not in the Sixers.
But he'll never thrive with Embiid on that floor.
No, but that's what I mean.
But you get Maxey and McCain, put them on the floor together. There you go. Mitch is actually bringing up.
Yeah, I was going to say Mitch
McCain's
is
got
going
a
up.
hell of a future. And
Yeah.
you know what? This college draft coming up too. There is a ton of really good big men. This is where the Sixers got to be proactive now and start drafting his replacement.
So
I'm right there with you.
Here's my announcement.
Uh-oh.
By begrudgingly so, I have to step away from the Patterson. Wait a minute. I'm not Paul George. What the hell am I talking about? I'm not focusing on basketball. Let's go and dive into this ridiculous announcement that
God.
Paul George is stepping away from his podcast to focus on basketball. Mike, I will say this. So for those that don't know, Mike was an independent wrestler. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you went under the wrestling name Slayer.
Yes.
So if you did a podcast and you were wrestling and you started to realize that you weren't doing so well with your wrestling because your podcast was taking up most of your time, what do you think you would have done?
Probably did what Paul George did. Just been like, hey, look, sorry, this is going on ice for a little bit. I mean, granted, he's making a ton more money than I've ever probably seen in my lifetime or ever will see. But you would think, but again, Joey, this is the day and age. Everybody's got a podcast. I mean, you got guys that literally, like, we look at the Dallas Cowboys, right, as our most bitter rival.
Right.
You look at Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons damn near had the whole Eagles team on his podcast this year.
I just think if you are going to step away from the podcast, it's okay to give an announcement, but you're not you're not Joe Rogan. Okay, you calm down.
Right.
Yeah, but
relax.
Hold on. Yeah, he's not Joe Rogan, but he's Paul George. I mean, he is somebody. It's not like me, like Joe Schmo. Like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm like, matter of fact, I actually just came back, as you know, but right. I took off. I've been off this whole time, really, with a couple shots with different people. I've been off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I used this time when EOP went down that to get my mind right and move. Sometimes you have to do that. So you got to remember, this thing's a side business for him. You know what I mean? So that's money. So even though he makes a ton of money in the NBA, it's still a side hustle. He's got sponsors. So that's why he's got to go and do that.
Yeah, and Mitch checks it and says it again. It says he should have stopped it at the beginning of the season too.
Well, thank you, Mitch.
That should
That's
have
where
been
I
a
was
big.
going. That's where I was going. Like,
Oh,
you
okay.
could still have a successful podcast,
Hmm.
but you don't have to do it during the NBA season. I mean,
Right.
you could even do it like you could do it like for like a half hour, like blips, if you want during the NBA season. You don't have to sit there and like talk for 2 hours and whatnot. Like, you could do things in a different way. I mean, look, we all know that are sitting here that sometimes you have to morph your content differently as it progresses, as it evolves. And
Hmm.
so with Paul George, look, you're 34, dude. Like, NBA isn't going to come easier as you get older. LeBron is a testament to that. So you have to take more of a pause for the cause when it comes down to what you want to do on your free time and figure out how that best works in the time management to like be still effective as a basketball player.
Hmm.
Because yes, you are being paid a lot of money. Your expectations as a Sixer are high. Now, the next question I have kind of leads into this.
Before you go any further, Joe, Mitch checks in again and says, "I bet if you guys didn't know that Maxey had a podcast, he stopped that at the beginning of the season because, frankly, he says because he cares more than Paul George thinks. He's basically saying Maxey's more of a leader than Paul George is."
Uh, I'll let you take that one, Mike, because I want to hear your opinion on that.
Maxey is most definitely more of a leader because this is Maxey pretty much this year. I've seen from what I've seen with the Sixers, Maxey has really stepped up as a leader. Like Maxey he's went after Joel Embiid and said, "Yo, get your head out of your, you know what? Let's go, let's play ball." And
Hmm.
for Maxey being a young guy and going up to the guy who is the guy here and saying, "Yo, you need to do this." Yeah, that's definitely leadership. And
Yeah.
the whole thing, like I said, the whole podcast thing, I'm not really that angry with it because some guys need an outlet, and this may be their outlet. You know what I mean? Like we don't know. So
Right.
if it's the outlet, then you know,
And,
I don't know. Here,
look,
I'm actually going to. I love you
I
guys. I got to
understand.
get rid of this Tush Push virtual background, dude. It's killing.
I understand. I understand that the podcast being an outlet.
Right.
I went through a lot. James has gone through a lot. You've gone through a lot, Mike. We all go through a lot. Life takes over. And you know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes sitting down and doing this for like an hour or so, once a week or whatever, yeah, it is an outlet. So I agree with you in that.
Hmm.
I'm not getting paid $60 million to go play basketball too. Like I want to make sure that contracts are guaranteed in the NBA.
Hmm.
And so for a player like Paul George, you got to take that commitment that you made to the Sixers just as seriously as they took to giving you that money in the first place.
Yep.
Now, the leading in question with this, Paul George announced that he was walking away from the podcast so that they could potentially, in his words, make a run to the playoffs and even be, through the playoffs. Now, my question to you, Mike, do you see this Sixers team currently as it is, from all of what you've seen this season? Do you think, even if Paul George gave it another 20%, do you think that this Sixers team can make the playoffs? And if so, do you think they can make any noise?
No, they need to make a run to the end of the season and end this thing. That's what they need to make a run to. You know what I mean? That's all they need to do. Like
That's all they need to do.
yeah,
That's all
yeah.
you need to know.
You want to make a run? Make a run to the end of the regular season. So this way
Right.
we can move on from this season and everybody can get healthy. And come back and then go back at it. There's no rhyme or reason to add on more games to a beat up club
Right.
in this season. Paul George, you want to make a run? You and Maxey, let's make a run to the end of the season. Go get your draft pick, which, by the way, if it's top 6, they keep.
Yes.
Remember that. So if I'm in, guess what? I'm starting the bottom 5 every night from here on out. So tell Paul George, you got an ankle injury. Go sit in the box.
Put him in the corner. Put him in the bathroom.
Put him in the bathroom. Jinx. But
yeah.
the 76ers need a lot of luck to get through this season. And with St. Patrick's Day right around the corner, if you need some luck, we got a great store for you to check out. Right, James?
Yeah, Joe. Today's show is sponsored by our friends over at is it Rally House?
No, the shopping plaza at eBay.
Oh, Shopping Plaza. There you go. Sorry, new ads for me, so I gotta get my priorities straight with that. So at shoppingplaza.com has the holidays already has already ready for you. Look no further than our friends over at the Shopping Plaza at eBay for all your personalized holiday apparel needs while you shopping for yourself or a loved one. Or a wide selection of customized items has something for everyone. Go ahead in this game to scan the QR code and get ready for the holiday season, like you mentioned, like either Mother's Day coming up soon or maybe St. Patrick's Day in between. Check them all out today at the Shopping Plaza at ebay.com. That's at the Shopping Plaza at ebay.com today.
Yeah, so the Eagles do not need luck. We're going to transition right into the champs because Mike, we haven't talked since the Super Bowl, and I got to say, there's another thing that Mike, you were right about, sort of. So when we last talked on the locker room, we talked about how the Eagles have to start to strengthen their running game. They need to lean on their running game. They need to lean into their running game. At the time when we discussed it, we had Rashad Penny, and you were a big fan of Rashad Penny. We have since upgraded by like 100 to go get Saquon Barkley.
Yes.
And we leaned into Saquon so much so that guy should have won MVP and should have won Play of the Year. But what I want to ask you, Mike, is now the Eagles are faced with another offseason potential big acquisition. The rumors going around about the trade to get Myles Garrett. Now, I got to ask, if you made a splash with Saquon and it worked, and that was free agency, that's just money. But if you are able to go and get someone like Myles Garrett through trade, and he wants to come here and play, and that would be a big splash, putting him next to Jalen Carter. My question to you, Mike, is do you do it if you're Howie?
No. No. And I know it. See, and hear me out on this. One, I don't believe the Browns are going to trade him this year. If it is, it's going to be after this year. He wants out. He let it know he wants to be out. But at the end of the day, the Browns control they control his future for right now. So I don't, to be honest with you, Joe and James, if I'm going to make a trade, well, I don't think it's going to cost me that much. Or not that much. I mean, it'll probably cost me a couple draft picks. I'm calling Las Vegas, and I'm trying to get Max Crosby here. That's what I'm trying to get.
I heard that rumor. Too.
So have I. And the reason why he's number one, he's younger than Myles Garrett. Okay. And I do believe he just signed either a year or two ago. He just signed a contract, so you have him under control. Yeah. So the Sixers can actually give him a raise. The Eagles can give him a raise, bring him in and trade for him, and he's younger than Myles Garrett. It's not that I don't like Myles Garrett. Don't take what I'm saying. Right. I just feel like right now the Cleveland Browns, their motto is right now that they're going to hold him for a king's ransom because they screwed up the Deshaun Watson trade and they gave away all these draft picks to go get him, and they're trying to recuperate that. Right. And like, I wouldn't touch that trade with a 10-foot pole because the asking price is going to be unreasonable for Myles Garrett. So, and with them going and doing that, it's also going to help them free up really kind of more cap space if they go and get Max Crosby and give him an extension. It will really help them on the back end of this year going forward. Literally, being able to go after maybe like keeping a Zach Bond and Milton Williams. I do believe that Zach Bond's going to re-sign with the Eagles. I really do. I don't think he's going to go anywhere, even though I heard the 49ers are trying to make a really strong push for him.
If you're Zach Bond, do you stay with the Eagles even if you're taking less money? in comparison to going to the Niners for?
It all depends really on what Zach feels. If Zach's like, hey, you know what? This organization gave me an opportunity. I would tell them, if he wants to give them a hometown discount, he can. I think it's because, in a way, and I think Zach might. And the only reason why I'm saying that is people might be able to try to throw a bag at him, but all these other teams knew about him. They didn't go after him.
Mhm.
Howie Roseman did. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he gave him a chance to come in here. And am I worried that if Zach Bond leaves, do I think the Eagles are going to be like that? They're going to regress in any type of way? No, because I love what they did with the drafting of Jeremiah Trotter Jr. to go along. See, they drafted Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in case the Zach Bond thing didn't work out. It just so happens that Zach Bond thing worked out. So the Eagles got another really good linebacker in the waiting. So, the two guys in this offseason that I would really love to see them get is I want Milton Williams to come back. If the Eagles got to go give him a nice upgrade, I think they go. If Josh Sweat wants to walk, let him walk.
I agree.
I think Josh Sweat's gonna demand $20 million plus.
Well, hey, he can demand it. To me, he's not a $20 million player. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
The thing about Milton Williams that worries me is that he's similar to, I guess, what you're talking about, your same argument that you're making about Max Crosby. Milton Williams is kind of that same argument. He's young. You could have him under control. Yeah, you would have to pay, but there are a lot of teams out there that would pay good money to have a guy like Milton Williams as a D-tackle.
All you got to do is look in our division. 2 teams in our division are salivating, waiting for free agents to try to go get him. The Cowboys are interested in Milton Williams, and so are the Giants. Can you imagine putting Milton Williams next to Dexter Lawrence? How good that inside of that line would be?
Or Thibodeau or whatever.
With Thibodeau, yeah, right.
Yeah, and Burns. Think about that. You have Burns, Thibodeau, and then you have Lawrence and Milton in the middle. Jesus God, that'd be a hell of a line.
Yeah. And despite the Giants screwing things up, that would be a hell of a line.
Well, we'll talk about the Giants screwing up. They're interested in getting Aaron Rodgers too. That's that's another thing. Like, if you want to go,
didn't you learn your lesson? Didn't you learn your lesson with washed up quarterbacks? Didn't you learn your lesson with Daniel Jones?
Listen. I think that would be kind of smart for the Giants. Think about it. This quarterback class this year in the NCAA coming out in this draft is not quarterback strong.
No.
Over the next year's quarterback class is supposed to be a lot stronger than this year. So why not rent Aaron Rodgers for a year? The Giants ain't going to the playoffs anyway.
You got 3 strong quarterbacks, top 2 rounds at least, but it drops off.
Who are your top 3 this year?
The Sanders.
No.
Oh wow.
I do not. He's going to be such a bust. I'm calling that now.
But he might be a bust, but he's going to go high.
Oh no, I agree with you, but he's not going to be an NFL quarterback. That dude, I'm telling you now, he'll be out of the league within 5, or he'll be a career backup. I'm sorry, I watched him play. That you want to talk about a kid who can't read a defense? Jesus God, man.
You know who he kind of reminds me of a little in his play? He's kind of a little reminiscent of a Cam Newton. Like, he can run, he can't read the defense in full motion.
He reminds me of a young Cordell Stewart. That's who he reminds me of. He does. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the kid's got tools. And when your dad is Deion Sanders, that gene pool is just amazing. So,
it's kind of like the Ball family a few years ago, trying to get his son to get drafted. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, you got to remember the one thing that Mike brings up about the draft class after this one for the quarterbacks. You have Archie Manning's grandson coming out.
Yeah.
Well, he's actually taking over. Like this year, like, to be honest with you, I think it's the kid from Ohio State. What's his name?
Yeah.
You have him. I think it's Kyle McCord, who used to be the quarterback at Ohio State, is 2. And then Quinn Ewers from the University of Texas is coming out. I think they're going to be the 3 quarterbacks that do something in the NFL.
Who's the guy from Oregon? Who did
Dylan
Oh,
Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
Yeah, or no.
People have him climbing the boards. I don't know why. I didn't hear anything from the combine that made him jump out. I don't know, but that's one name that's been jumping out.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys that like should when he graduates Oregon, he should have his doctorate's degree because he's
Hey! As a guy who spent 20 years in college, let's not diss that, okay?
No. So Mitch that said, excuse me. He says, "Boo, Ohio State, go Michigan."
Yeah,
Boo both of you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a PSU guy.
Yeah.
So here's
you
my
know who I
question:
am.
While we're on the talk of like college players,
Sure.
with the 32nd pick in the NFL draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select. You can name a player, you can name a position. What do you think the Eagles go and try and choose, Mike?
Oh, I think they're going to go edge, and I think it's either going to be the kid from Tennessee because apparently his stock has dropped. Don't be surprised if you see Abdul Carter drop. The kid from Philly. Yes. Apparently he's got like a stress fracture in his foot.
Yes, I heard. Yes.
And like he was set to be the number 1 overall pick, and like teams are really, really backtracking off of him right now.
You know how we like our like injured guys coming out of college.
I'm going to tell you this now. If Abdul Carter gets to say the 20th pick and nobody's picked him, Howie's going to go get him.
Yeah.
Howie will go and get him. And but I think the kid Fisher also from Tennessee, 6'6". He's got like an 8.5 feet wingspan. He's 260 pounds. He runs a 4.4 40. His bend is like ridiculous. I saw it the other day. Somebody had brought it up to me about Eagles' potential draft picks, and man, this kid. I mean, if he fell to the Eagles, holy cow! You put him and Nolan Smith on opposite ends. Holy cow! Those tackles are going to have heel spurs trying to stop them boys.
Well, here's the other thing, and me and James brought this up last week, is that we know that the Eagles aren't staying at 32. Like if Howie sees somebody drop, like you brought up Abdul Carter, like if Howie sees someone drop that's enticing enough, and he drops to 20 or 21 or 22, Howie's not afraid to jump up, especially if he feels like, okay, what would I rather have? Give up the first and a third to go get this guy who could be a game changer next year. Yeah, I'll do that. Like that's not a that's a non-deal breaker. Because here's the other thing. With the free agents that are going to leave, you're probably going to garner some compensation picks for the following draft around the 3rd round anyhow. So you're going to be able to kind of make up for what you lose possibly in the mid-tier rounds this year. You'll make up for that next year. And you really don't, outside of Lane Johnson's replacement, outside of replacing the edge, and if Milton Williams goes or Zach Bond goes, replacing them, really, I see 4 or 5 positions that really need, not necessarily, I mean, I would love a stud, don't get me wrong, but to have a replacement or have depth in it. And I really do want to see Jeremiah Trotter Jr. get more of a chance this year. But like I'm on the board with you, Mike. I'm a big fan of Zach Bond because that guy, people are throwing comps out like Ray Lewis and
I kind of back off of that. Like Zach had a really good year. Like, but pump the brakes. He's not Ray Lewis.
No.
He's not Mike Singletary. Joe, I'm looking right here. The Eagles draft picks right now. They have in 7 rounds. They got 9 picks.
Okay.
They have basically 1 through 5, but they got 3 fifth round draft picks. They have 1 from Houston, 1 via from the Commanders. Then they have their own pick. And I'm sorry, they only have 1 through. They only have 5. Or 7, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They got 7 picks. They don't have no 6th round, no 7th round.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, my argument is still valid because in the sense that if you trade two picks, a first, you swap your first, and you give them a third. I've seen worse. Or you swap your third and your fifth, and you go up and get that guy who's going to be the difference maker. I still feel like on draft night, you still can trade Kenny Pickett for draft stock. You could still trade other people that are on this team for draft stock.
Listen, did you ever stop and think what some of these wealth of defensive backs that they have?
Yeah.
They're not going to try and move one of these guys. Like, I'm sorry, I don't really. If they re-sign Isaiah Rodgers, I think it might be the end of Keely Ringo. As much as I like Keely,
I do like Keely.
Yeah, he's good.
Too. I like him too, but like, I'm sorry, I feel like right now, if you're looking at that defensive back room, Keely's probably like the 8th or 9th, defensive back.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I think the reason why Keely's not like a big player like he is because you think about you got DeJean now and you got also Quignon. So, I mean, maybe you keep him for special teams, but that's going to be something that's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with Keely.
I mean, another thing too is like I would love to. Me personally, I feel like the Eagles, if they're going to do their 32nd pick, I don't think he'll be there, but I would love for them to go get Tyler Warren from Penn State.
Oh, I would like that.
To back up Dallas Goedert. I mean, I like Grant Calcaterra, but to me, he's kind of we need an impact guy. And I don't know. Did you guys actually see the thing that they're trying to talk Zach Ertz into coming back one more year for the Eagles?
Yes.
Ooh. Oh, I heard about that. I didn't know that.
And much like you're saying about Rodgers, and if he comes back, it would spell the end maybe for Keely Ringo here.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like if Zach Ertz comes back and they're gonna look to draft a tight end, I don't know if they carry 4 tight ends, so I feel like they would either trade Dallas Goedert or just let him go or whatever.
I think they're going to let Dallas Goedert go. I think he's going to be a free agent because he's been injured way too much. And it's really funny if you look at it. For years, him and Avonte Maddox were like roommates, and like they're like the 2 most often injured Eagles. Yes. Like every year, you can pencil in that those guys are going to miss time. So to me, if you can't get up to get a Tyler Warren, which I don't think they can. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Indianapolis is going to scoop him up, because they need a tight end out there. So,
what about the guy Sawyer or the guy Mitchell from Notre Dame?
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Right. I wouldn't be opposed to them getting.
I mean, those are 2 good.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Sure.
Do you think Howie, in his magical things, do you think he trades back? Because if you remember, last time they won the Super Bowl, they traded that 32nd pick, which ended up becoming Lamar Jackson. A lot of people don't realize that. That was the Eagles' pick, was Lamar Jackson was sitting there. So technically, the Eagles could have drafted Lamar Jackson, but they traded.
That would have been a quarterback. That would have been a real quarterback factory, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
But you think about that, like they were right there, and Baltimore called them, and they got I think they got like 2 second-round picks for that, just for that. I mean, if I'm Howie Roseman, I'm like, all right, look, like I would even be a kind of a idiot about it. I'd be like, look, I ain't got no 6th and 7th round, so you're going to give me 2. You're going to give me a couple 2s for the next couple of years, and give me a 6th and a 7th this year. Just so I can think about it.
Give me a throw in. But like, here's the thing with Howie, with you raising that question, the only way I see them doing this or him doing this is if the board doesn't fall his way. Like if the board doesn't start to I brought this up last week to James. There was a reason why we got Cooper DeJean because the board fell our way. Right. Honestly, it's the reason why we got Quignon Mitchell too. Right. Because the board started to fall our way, and Howie's like, is everybody stupid? Like, okay, I'll take these corners.
Here's the thing. Like, it doesn't seem like over the past couple of years with the draft, it starts falling the Eagles' way. That's why I said don't sleep. Like, everybody thinks, the Eagles are at 32. There's no way they're going to get Abdul Carter. Well, yeah, with this thing about his stress fracture and just the way the draft goes, teams needs. You know what I mean? Like I really don't see him. I mean, he
keep
could go
something in
number
mind.
one. He could
Keep
go number one, but he could go
Yeah.
32nd too.
Keep something in mind is that two of the last couple of years, two picks that were projected in the beginning of the NFL draft season to be in the round ones, both Cooper DeJean was projected in round one, and Nakobe Dean, both were projected in round one. Cooper DeJean was second rounder, and Nakobe Dean was picked in the third round. So, like, you got to keep in mind, Howe is not afraid to drop back to kind of gain more equity down the road as long as the board falls his way. If it falls, he's a really good poker player. I'll tell you that right now. I do not want to play poker with Howie Roseman.
Yeah, I
But
mean, it's amazing. He's done a really good job. I mean, I
yeah,
know some people like him, some people don't. But I gotta say, the guy's done a good job. Like he missed on some draft picks, but take me to a general manager that hits on all his draft picks, and you know, even the best, the number one, GMs in the world miss on some draft picks. It happens. So he's really right at the ship. And to me, I guess he's figured out, like, look, I don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. I just got to go and take the best player that's available. And Howie's been doing that. And I'll tell you what, man, it's just, I'm interested to see where this team goes because right now, I don't care what anybody says. They are the best team in the NFC. They're the best team in the league right now. And if they can keep this up, like they'll be talking about us the way they were talking about Kansas City.
yeah, I agree with that. Because unlike past years, this isn't like we didn't hire all mercenaries and they're all gone like in 2017. This has got a lot of depth. I think Howie learned a lot from the new normal. I think that he's like, I'm not going to say it anymore. I'm just going to make it happen. Like, I'm
Right.
just going to let my actions and let all the moves that I make and let other people say it's the new normal. I'm not going to say it.
Well,
Right.
listen, they have to make the right, they got to find the right chemical. But the thing that really, kind of stuck a chord with me, I watched the Gilly podcast. He had AJ Brown on.
Mhm.
And something that stuck with me, what I heard AJ Brown say is, yeah, it was great for about 15 minutes, but now I want to get back to work.
Right. Right.
Jalen Hurts, 2 weeks after, he's already back out working, doing his off-season workouts.
Right.
Like he wants to go back. This is why I told people. Me and Pat had this argument when they drafted Jalen Hurts. I told Pat then, and Pat, if you listen, Pat gives me credit for this all the time. I told him, I said, you will not regret drafting this kid. I said, he gets better every year. I said, do I think he can take us to a Super Bowl? I said, yes. I said, could he win one? Yes. I said, why? Because he did it on the collegiate level.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I said, the kid is a winner. I said, he's got these intangibles that I said Wentz don't have.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, look, here's the thing. Is even at the parade when Jalen spoke, he's like, okay, I promised myself I wasn't going to come to the Rocky Steps until I won a championship. And here I am. But you know what? It's on to the next. And like that is the difference. He's already thinking, this is great. I'm going to celebrate this. I'm going to relish this. It's like when you hear certain, like at the NFC Championship game, everyone expected when the Eagles won the NFC Championship game that they were going to go, oh, balls to the wall, like celebration. Most of those guys were very muted. They were like, we still got one more. And we're not going there just to show up. We're going there to win.
well,
Right.
since,
And
Right.
I think that mentality of Jalen Hurts has transfused through the locker room.
well, that I feel that, and also bringing Saquon Barkley in, you got to see how much of a leader Saquon Barkley was.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I'm not taking a shot at the Giants. Like, listen, the Giants had other needs. And like, I'm probably one of the rare few guys that ain't going. Like, I'll joke, my kid's a Giants fan, so I'll break his stones, and and be like, hey, thanks, you gave us Saquon. It's the gift that keeps on giving. But if you look at it, like really, really look at it, Joe Shane knew that he had a mountain of a mess over there.
Yeah.
Did they give the wrong guy the money? I don't think so, because if you're looking at it, it's a quarterback-driven league. So looking at it, he gave his quarterback the money that he thought he should. Now, granted, 6 weeks later, cutting him, that makes it look even more bad. And then you got Saquon running for that. But I love the fact of what Saquon brought as a leader to the locker room. You've seen it. Go back and just listen to the mic'd up. And you're watching it during the Super Bowl. Saquon's going, that scoreboard is for them. And he pointed at the crowd. The scoreboard's for them. It's nothing. Let's go. That was the mentality they went in there with. And I'm sorry. That Super Bowl was a legit ass whooping. And I mean, I think it was a bigger ass whooping than when Tampa beat them. When Tampa beat Patrick Mahomes, they beat him 31-9. Yeah, the Eagles gave up 22 extra points or whatever.
But it was 40-6. Let's be real.
It was.
Let's be real.
It was.
Oh, it was. I mean, the 2 last touchdowns were against our backups, which I thought was cool. That's another thing, too. Like, Sirianni gets a lot of crap thrown at him, which some of it's deserving. You know, I mean, I felt like he's really matured over the year. Like, you saw kind of a maturation from Nick. Now, guess what? He won the Super Bowl. So now you got to put him in there with Super Bowl winning coaches, and you got to give the guy his due. Over his first 4 years, I think only John Madden and George Halas had more wins. Like, think about that. All the coaches that are in this league, I think it was, I saw it the other day. It was John Madden and George Halas. They're the only 2 that had like more wins than Nick Sirianni.
Well,
so
we announced this. You bring up history about the Eagles. And I brought this up a couple weeks ago. The Eagles are the only franchise to defeat 3 of the best dynasties in a championship game. Vince Lombardi in the 60s. The only time Vince ever lost in a championship game.
Yeah, they were going for a three-peat. They were going for a three-peat. I think New England, I think were they going for
back to back? They were going back.
They were going back, and Brady was looking for a 6th Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
you have New England and now Kansas City. So the Eagles are the only NFL team to ever do that. And so that's something we can hold with pride too. Like, it's amazing because, you know, I have said this to James, the younger generation isn't going to know the ails of like between 80 and like 2004. Like, they're not going to know what that felt like.
No, they're not going to know what the Marion Campbell years. I mean, I was young, but I remember the Eagles with 3-win seasons. I remember, I remember going and watching Buddy Ryan's first couple of years. Like, let's be honest, Buddy's teams got good in 88, 89, and 90, those 3 years. But he came in 86. So, he had really bad years leading up to that. I just remember the co-tight era, Ray Rhodes. Like, Ray Rhodes came in like a house of fire, had his teams playing, and his teams fizzled out. And then that led into Andy Reid. And, Andy Reid's first year wasn't so good. You know what I mean?
Right.
But anybody that I tell now is this. The Eagles, the thing that I like now about this Eagles team is that Howie and Jeffrey are thinking of the future. Okay, they're drafting young, and I like what they're doing. They got their offensive side of the ball locked up. Okay, now what's going to happen is, as they continue to draft, the defensive side of the ball, as those offensive guys are getting older now and getting to the back end of their contracts, guess what? All that upfront money's paid. Like, a lot of people talk about, like, I don't know if you heard the little dig that Stephen Jones.
Stephen
Jones.
Jones, yeah.
Yeah, he threw a little dig at Howie. He goes, well, Philadelphia's going to have to answer for that down the line. Well, no, not really. Because the way you're looking at it, he's taking care of one side of the ball. He's got young talent. Like, this defense was the number 1 ranked defense in the league, and they're the youngest defense in the league.
And that offense is locked up for another 2 years.
Right.
With no issues. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to have to get it back and pay Jalen Carter. Guess what?
Yeah.
They can negotiate this season. Again, they can go in there. They can extend Jalen Carter. And guess what? you know what's going to happen? It's going to give the Eagles more money to spend this year because they're getting taken care of him early. And that's the one thing Howie does right.
Yep.
He takes care of him early. So,
well, guys, what we need to do right now is grab your tush because it's time to push. It's time for Tush Talk on the Patterson Ave Sports Show. And
oh, great. Here comes Pat. Pat's going to be running around here somewhere.
So with the Philadelphia Eagles, their success with the Tush Push has led to a wide debate, mainly from the Green Bay Packers, talking about how it's an unsafe play for players. Now, to get a play banned in the NFL, it has to be deemed unsafe by player safety regulations. There were 0 injuries to a player when the Tush Push was run. It doesn't matter about the Eagles. This in general in the NFL, there were 0 injuries when the Tush Push was run. Now look, I gotta ask, Mike, what's your take on, and what do you think of people trying to, especially Green Bay, trying to get the Tush Push banned?
It's, if you take a look, all the people that have complained about the Tush Push has been the teams that the Eagles have shellacked and beaten. San Francisco complained about it a couple of years ago. Remember? They were complained about it. Tampa's kind of thrown some things out there. Whatever his name is down there.
Todd Bowles.
He was like, but I mean, then he retracted it and was like, well, stop it. I mean, he was one of the guys that literally turned around and said, well, stop it. He's like, it is what it is. Like, again, to me, it's just sour grapes because the Eagles run it better than anybody else. Buffalo tried to run an AFC title game against Kansas City, and Kansas City stopped them. You saw what happened when they went up against the team who started that, okay? The Eagles blew them off the line in scrimmage and got in the end zone, okay? The Commanders opened their mouth and said something about it. Why? Because they had 3 of them thrown in their face. Every time the Eagles needed a first down, they went for it. How can I put it? The Eagles found a crack in the matrix, okay? They found their little secret weapon, and it's this. When you get down to a yard and a half,
I know the Tush has a crack, but the crack in the matrix, are you really trying to put that together?
Yeah, pretty much. I thought it was good. But no, I'm serious. Like, they found a cheat code, okay? Their cheat code is we line up. Our 5 guys are going to be better than your 5 guys, and we're going to push you back. And guess what? Just for added measure, we got a quarterback that squats 600 pounds. You have a running back who's right there who squats damn near almost 600 pounds. It's Saquon Barkley. Oh, and by the way, just for, S and giggles, we're going to throw Dallas Goedert back there who's a tight end and push along. That's a lot of force. They can't stop it.
Not to mention you have an offensive line that's a quarter ton.
Right.
A ton, like you got those guys, they're not like, it's not just Jalen, Saquon, and Dallas Goedert going against the whole defense. It's that offensive line that's like, we're going to push you back.
Okay. We were talking about all these free agents and everything, or, from the Eagles side, guys. One guy we forgot to mention, Mekhi Becton. Do you re-sign him? I think he comes back on a team-friendly deal, too.
I think so, too.
I only take him if it's a team-friendly deal. Only because I think Tyler Steen did okay when he got plugged in there, and you drafted him for a reason. But I think Mekhi Becton, if it's a team-friendly deal for like 2 years, I would take it. But it has to be, a team cooperative kind of thing. But James, before we move on, I wanted to get your quick take. What's your take on the Tush Push and people trying to get it banned?
It's ludicrous. It's that's all there is to it. It's just absolutely, it's ludicrous. It's because here's the thing. I mean, I understand that there's a lot of people out there that want to ban it and all that, but the reason why they want to ban it is because they think they can't do it better than the Eagles. Like, even like Michael alluded to what Todd Bowles said. If you want to do it, if you want to try to make something happen with it, try to stop it, try to stop it any way you can. And the problem is too that I just find it funny because it's one of those things that I really thought that, okay, they tried to do this last year and it didn't work out. Tried to do it a couple of years ago, it didn't work out either. But now it's just starting to get to the point now. It's just like, man, it's just it's laughable. It's just really, really laughable.
You know what? If you can't beat them, join them. Oh, wait, you can't join them because you can't do it as well as us. Sorry, not our problem. That doesn't sound like a me problem. That sounds like a you problem. But
Yeah,
you
it
know where
sounds like I need help problem.
you know where the
Addiction is a
Eagles are.
disease.
You know what the Eagles are doing right now, though, James?
Sure.
They're playing golf. They're
Oh
hitting the
yeah,
links.
yeah. They're at the lakes right now.
And if you're a guy that likes to go play golf, especially with the weather warming up, we got a great sponsor for you. PGA Tour Superstore. Go get all the apparel, clubs, all the accessories that all the pros have. Shop the pros with PGA Tour Superstore. Talk more about it, James.
Yeah, Joe. Today's show is sponsored, like you just mentioned, to PGA Tour. PGA Tour Superstore.com has all the golf apparel that you need, and don't miss out on this exclusive offer because obviously the Masters coming up very, very soon. So I would be sure a lot of people will be focusing on that. They have a high. They got your hands on the most premium golf equipment, all including golf clubs, golf tees, and so much more at PGA Tour Superstore.com. It's like a tongue twister with that stuff, obviously. Scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen and also save big right now at PGA Tour Superstore.com. PGA Superstore.com today.
So
It's
in a hole.
It's a tongue twister. We're bringing new advertising. So we gotta get it ironed out. We'll get it there.
We'll get there. I mean, these are new commercial reads, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been so busy all week, so I haven't got a chance to do it. But no, it's all good, man. I'll get the hang of it. It's kind of like Krasno on within Joe. Try to say that a few times fast. Go ahead, Joe.
So let's hit a home run right now. Let's hit the home run out of the ballpark. Let's talk a little Phillies. We got spring training, and we got a lot of talk. The main talk been around the lineup changes and trying to figure out how to find the right combination. Mike brought it up earlier. It's sometimes the right matrixing of the right people in the right positions that sometimes gives you a championship team. And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles did. Now the Phillies are trying to figure out, with all these good pieces, what is that combination? So, Mike, I'm going to start with you. What is your dream lineup, your dream starting lineup for the Philadelphia Phillies come opening day?
Ooh, I would like to have Turner lead off.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, I would like to have JT batting second.
Okay.
Harper third. I would put I would put Castellanos fourth, just to break it up. Schwarber fifth. Then you go down and do Stott, Marsh, and then Rojas.
Right. So my next question would be.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Max Kepler.
Yeah.
I would put Max Kepler. I would put. Excuse me. I would. Yeah. I would definitely. I keep forgetting that they signed Max Kepler.
Yeah, and he was good on spring training so far too.
Him and the other young kid, what's his name? Enriccione or
Yeah.
Ricola.
Yeah, he hit another bomb yesterday. So I mean, right now that would kind of be. I'll give you like my top six. My top six. I want to stay the same. So it'd be Turner, Real Muto, Harper. Then you do Castellanos, Schwarber, and then Bohm. There you go. I would drop Bohm down a little bit because Bohm seemed like he did more damage when you dropped him down in the lineup than when you had him up at the 4 spot.
So the big contention right now has been two things: two players not willing to budge for the betterment of the team. The first one we're going to talk about is Trey Turner and the talk that they should move him to center field. My question to you, Mike, is do you think that they should? And if they do you think that should Turner have a problem with that?
No, you shouldn't put him in center field because you have a really good defensive center fielder in Johan Rojas. So no, you don't put him in center field. And the best thing about having Bryson Stott on this team is you can flip-flop Turner and Stott. You can move Stott to shortstop and put Turner at second base.
Well, what if Turner doesn't want to move away from shortstop?
Well, that's just too bad. Like it's either that or guess what? They find a new trade partner to get rid of him. Like, he came here. We gave him chances to play shortstop. The dude is horribly defensively at shortstop. I
agree.
Personally, they should have moved him a year ago. They should have moved him last year over to second base. They should have did the swap. So Bryson Stott came up as a shortstop. You should let him play his natural position. He moved so they could go get Trey Turner.
Yeah. So the other one that's been in contention, and I noticed with your lineup, you kept them at 3, is Bryce Harper. There's been talks about whether you move Bryce up to the number 2 slot or in the number 1 slot. I have contended that the way that the league is going right now, some of the best players on that team, hitting wise or just overall wise, are either batting leadoff or batting second. You have Soto, you have Judge, you have the guy over in LA that we don't really want to mention his name because every time you mention his name, like millions of people flock to his Twitter account.
I'm sorry, but I don't know who that is.
The guy in Los Angeles, the Dodgers, the Japanese-born.
Yeah.
The reigning MVP.
The reigning MVP, yeah.
And there was a meme going over that every time you mention his name, 25,000 people flood over to his Twitter account.
I forget. How did I
know
about that?
I was like, so I'm not going to mention his name because
I got to give him
credit.
Joe, I just got to give a special shout out real quick, dude, to my wife. She's awesome. She knows I'm sitting here doing this. She actually ran to Wawa and got me a coffee while we're doing it. So she comes in and sneaks it in. So, yeah, shout out to the lovely bride of mine.
That is an awesome person. That's a team player.
Yep.
So my question to you, Mike, is, would you even discuss moving Bryce up in the lineup?
No. No. I want to keep Bryce right where he's at number 3. I am in all 4 right now. Like I said, I want Turner to lead off. I love Kyle Schwarber, but Kyle Schwarber, even with him hitting a lot of doubles and everything last year, we need that power down towards the middle of the lineup. And Schwarber doesn't care where he plays. That's I don't understand it. Like if you saw yesterday, he actually took some innings at first base yesterday. Which I thought was really, really good because now, kind of looking at it, you could still keep Bryce in the lineup and don't have to play him at first every day. Now you
can swap Schwarber and
here's what I'm hearing as well too. I'm also hearing that on days they want to give Bryce a rest. Okay, they could put Kyle there, or they could put JT Realmuto at first.
Right.
My main thing is this year is I'm sorry, I like Garrett Stubbs. But I feel like Marchand should be the backup catcher. He provides more pop with his bat. He's a lot better with his bat than Garrett Stubbs. And he can call a game just as good as Garrett Stubbs. So I personally want to see Marchand backing up JT because how can I put it? Rob Thompson, the lineup, endless opportunities that he could have with putting Marchand behind the plate. You could have JT DH. You could have Schwarber DH. You could have Harper DH.
You got a lot of options.
You got a lot of options there. Like you can move it around. So I would love to see that. That's what killed the Phillies last year. And I think the Phillies bench is going to be a little better this year too. You have some kids that are playing well right now in spring training who might earn a spot on this roster. And I would not be they got to replace Weston Wilson, who left via free agency. They got to replace a bunch of guys. So I'm looking at it let's see what these young guys got.
I'm curious to see. So I'm with you. First off, I want to say I'm with you with the Marchand. But I think the Phillies had to be careful because they only have one more option for him. So if they bring him up, they have to keep him up.
I don't care. Bring him up. That kid has earned his time.
No, I agree. So. I 100% agree. I'm not disagreeing with you at all on that. But The other kind of guys, when you bring up youngsters, the other guys I want to see, even if it's on the bench and you give them a spot start, is Aiden Miller and Crawford. I want to see both of them up because you're going to have Painter come up in June. So you're going to have some youngsters coming up here.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't even get into the pitching yet because I feel like right now, even though the Dodgers are going out signing everybody, I think the Phillies got the best rotation in baseball.
That was my next question.
And I keep telling people, people are like, well, how do you feel about the Phillies? I said, I have a really good feeling. We got Jesus.
You know
what I mean? When you have Jesus, you don't lose.
Jesus Luzardo.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, he looked really good yesterday. He looked really good. I'm sorry, Joe. You all right there, buddy?
That came out of nowhere.
That's good. That's a good line, man.
That's the line of the day.
Listen, I want to get shirts made that says the Phillies have Jesus. What do you have?
Wow. I'll get right on that. I am not kidding. I'm not even kidding.
Listen, I'm a size 3X. I'm down a couple sizes, so I'm a 3X now. Make sure you get with me.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Hopefully,
we'll get it. Wow. I mean, wow.
This is how that started. I'll give you a quick little backstory on that. I was arguing with a Mets fan, and the Mets fan goes, "Oh, well, the Phillies didn't do nothing." And I was like, typical Mets fan. I said, you go out, blow a load of money on a guy, I said, who's probably going to get injured by July. I said, we all know that curse. I was like, and besides, I said, your team's got no shot. He goes, oh, we don't? Why not? I said, well, the Phillies got Jesus. What do you have? And then it just stemmed from that. And then that fit my mind since we signed him. But I'll tell you what, you know why they went out and got Jesus Luzardo, right? Because they were in fear of that they might be, don't think about it for a second. If Rangers pitching well, guess who's getting traded at the deadline this year?
Yeah.
Because Painter's going to be right behind Ranger.
I think he looks pretty well. He actually looks pretty well.
I'll tell you what, Mick Abel looked pretty good so far this too. Again, that's another trade piece. I wouldn't bring up Abel. He's had his chances. No, I mean, Joe, he's had his chances to come up, and he's been really like up and down the AAA. If you can move him, I'm not getting rid of Aiden. My two untouchables in the Phillies farm system, and me and Matty B argued about this. I said, there's two untouchables. He goes, there's no untouchables. I said, bro, there are two untouchables. You're not getting Crawford. You're not getting Miller. Anybody else that's in there, you want them, let's go. Because I think Painter's going to be up with the Phillies. I think he's going to be that midseason
Caldwell.
That midseason acquire, that comes in. Now, I'm just hoping that he's not damaged goods. So,
look, the Phillies know this, that they're going to make sure he's right. Unlike the Sixers, they're going to make sure that he's right before they bring him in. And look, having that guy as an insurance policy, if Ranger wants to go and play and light the world on fire, and for all intents and purposes, for people who don't remember, the first 6 to 8 weeks of last year's season, Ranger Suarez was in the contention for Cy Young. He fell off, but if we get him hot for the first 2 months, and we have Andrew Painter coming up in June or July, you have a great trade piece with Ranger Suarez with that, not understanding, like, look how good he is. Because the Phillies know he might fall off. And so preventing that fall off, I mean, you could get a nice return on someone like Ranger. But when you bring up the Mets, which a little vomit comes up in the back of my throat when I say that, they basically pay for the high price hooker. Like, that's all they did in the offseason. That they only pay for the high. I'm sorry, not hooker. The proper word is sex worker. The high price sex worker. That's what they paid for with Soto. Like, the guy is a me guy, not a team guy. Who else is on the Mets that seems like that? Oh, right, Francisco Lindor. So you have two guys that care about
kill two birds with one stone.
And guess what? And the Mets really kind of hurt their pitching because the guys that helped get them to the postseason like a year ago, like Severino, no longer there. They took a big hit. I did think they, if I remember correctly, I think they did re-sign Sean Manaea, but Manaea had one of those off the wall years because, like, as much as he looked like Sandy Koufax against the Phillies, like people forget he was on that Padres team just 2 years earlier that the Phillies rocked. So so he's kind of up and down. So the Mets really took the Mets are going to be an offensive team. They're going to be an offensive team. Their pitching's horrible, but getting back to our team, I like our bullpen. Did you see? Was it Broom? I think his name is the kid Broom that's coming out. Okay. He's like the newest. He's going to be our Jeff Hoffman for this year.
Okay.
The kid is throwing 100 miles an hour. Like I saw highlights of him yesterday. He is just filthy, and he's got a really good chance of making this team.
Well, I will say this: he can throw 100 miles an hour, but me and James are on this mountain, and we will not move. And that is, you could throw 100 miles an hour, but if you can't pinpoint your damn pitches, it don't matter.
Right. Well, I'm saying he can reach up to 100, but I'm saying the kid, his ball movement, from the highlights I saw yesterday of him, his ball movement is sick, like sick. And I'm going to give it to. I think it was either I saw it on the Edge of Philly, the EOP Facebook page. They were, you know how Joey still does it. So I was looking, and he was like, he's the one that brought it up and said, hey, this might be this year's version of Jeff Hoffman, this year's Jeff Hoffman for us. Mm-hmm. But I like the fact that they went out and got the guy from Toronto who basically, like, he signed a prove-it deal. Like, there are guys here, like, before Philadelphia wasn't the destination for baseball.
Yeah.
Now you got guys who want to come here. Like, they want to come wear the pinstripes. They want to be a part of Red October. Mm-hmm. And that's a credit to really John Middleton and what he's done, and Dave Dombrowski. And the one thing I heard about Dombrowski before he even came down here, my friend of mine, Steve, is he's from up in Massachusetts, diehard Red Sox fan. He said, dude, be careful. He said, this dude's going to drain your farm system and leave you with nothing. He goes, you may get a World Series out of it. He goes, but he's going to drain your farm system. And the one thing I can actually say, Dombrowski has not drained the farm system. He's gotten rid of some pieces, but the major talent that we've had in our farm system has pretty much stayed.
Yeah, and Boston Red Sox fans shouldn't really be talking. Their GM is not really doing as well as he should be.
I'll tell you what, you can mark it right here now. I'm saying that March 1st, Boston Red Sox are going to win that division. They are going to
they're good.
They're going to win the AL East. I'll give you my prediction for every division.
So you think that the Boston Red Sox are going to win the division over the Baltimore Orioles
and the New York Yankees? Yes,
I think the Orioles took a step back, though, Joe.
The Orioles took a step back. The Yankees took a step back. The Yankees went out. Come on, dude, they got Max Fried. That was like their big offseason pickup.
And they got Bellinger, but Bellinger's
that's nothing to write home about.
Yeah, Bellinger, he's another streaky player. So I feel like I can tell you right now, AL East, I'm going with the Red Sox. Okay. AL Central, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Royals in that one. In the West, I'm going with the Texas Rangers. I think they bounce back this year.
Okay.
So there's those three. NL West, the Dodgers are clearly probably the best team in that division.
Obviously.
The Central, I'm going to take a dark horse here. You're going to laugh at me. But
I know where you're going. But go ahead.
I know where you're going at, too.
I'm going with the Cincinnati Reds.
What?
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's not where I thought you were going.
I thought they were going to go with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I thought you were going to go with the Brewers.
No.
I don't think the Brewers are going to be that good.
I'm just taking a dark shot. That division's so topsy-turvy. Like, you could be good one year, and then, the favorites to win that division this year are the Cubs. So, but really, the second team, if you look at percentages about who they think is going to win, you got the Cubs number 1, the Reds are number 2. So the Reds got a nice young nucleus. They got good pitching.
Dela Cruz is really good.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Reds kind of made a run at it towards the end of last season.
Yeah,
and
they came up just short.
Yeah, because they were like digging themselves so far out of a deep hole, they just came up short. And
I'll tell you what, they made some really, really good offseason additions. The
And
Reds.
the good
That's
thing
why
about it
I'm
too, they
taking the
brought in
Reds.
Tito back too. They brought in
Yes,
Terry
and that's
Francona.
another reason. That's another reason. They've upgraded manager. Tito's been there, done that. I think he helps them along with what they did in the offseason get over the hump. I'm taking them to win. And of course, everybody's all aboard. Everybody's still picking the Braves and the Mets to finish above the Phillies. I'm not. I think the Mets lost pitching. The Braves lost pitching. The Braves got a better lineup. I think honestly, I'm going to go with my heart here, and I'm going to say that I think the Phils come in second in the division. I think they lose out by a game to the Braves.
I was gonna say you got the Braves like winning the division.
Yeah.
I have the Braves winning the division, but I got the Phillies coming in second. And by the way, their over and under is 90 wins. Take the over in that because they're going to go over 90 wins.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I think the Braves finish with like 96 wins. I think the Phillies finish around 90, 95, 94, somewhere in that range. And I think the Mets finish up around 87.
So
because they're not going to be.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So going in that direction, Mike, with 90 wins, my next question to you is, are you going to go to a Phillies game? Because if you are, we have a great sponsor.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Tell them more about it, James.
Yeah, today's show is sponsored by our friends.
At Game Time.
No, I'm just doing finding the background real quick. Yeah, there we go. So today's show is also sponsored by our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is a proud sponsor of our very good podcast here over at Hardcore Sports Network. Calling all busy Phillies fans for need tickets for the last minute. Don't worry, Game Time has got you covered. For all your Phillies tickets, you can check out from your seat view before you buy and snag on great discounts along the way and so much more at Game Time right now. But remember to scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen and also check it out today. That's our friends over at GameTime.com. That's at GameTime.co, excuse me. GameTime.co today, and let's go Phils.
Yep, and so scan that QR code, get yourself your Phillies tickets for opening day, and much more.
Yeah,
Game Time is amazing.
Joe, I'm sorry, guys. I had to cut you off too. Yeah, could the Phillies be any more dumber this year too? Have an opening day on a Monday?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, usually it's on a Wednesday or a Thursday.
It's usually Wednesday. Well, no, last year was a Friday. Last year they was opening on Friday. So I understand you got to open up your. You're open up down in Washington. I don't understand why they just didn't have them do Washington and say New York. Have them open up there on the road for the first 6 games and then come home. You know what I mean?
I remember the last time they had a Monday a Monday game to start. Well, not to start the season, but I think it was in 2010 when it was. It was like a Monday, like April 5th. They started in Washington, and then they played on a Monday against Washington in 2010 too, on a Monday too, if I can remember.
Well, actually, they opened up on a Monday a couple of years ago when they went to the World Series. They opened up on a Monday. They opened up in Houston or in Texas.
Yeah, right.
They played the Rangers. So
that's true.
I'm going to give everybody a little tip: play hooky. No one's going to know. No one will know.
I don't know, man. I went last year.
Just go out sick.
I went with our boy Mike Fuji. Me and him went to the game last year and had a good time. But yeah, just a Monday, man. That's hard. I mean, you're excited, but then you're like, ugh. You know,
now I gotta get through the week.
Yeah,
now I gotta get through the week.
Yeah,
but
the Phillies had some majority of the games probably going back to when I was a kid. They played on Monday afternoons, like to start the season too. Too.
I think there's going to be more matinee games too.
Yeah, business person specials.
I don't know about you, but I missed the vet because I remember when I was in high school, which was the 93-94 season, 93 year. Like, I remember we cut school to go to the Phillies game for the home opener. Like, we literally went down the day off and got tickets for the home opener. So, like, you can't do that now. Now, like, everything's sold out and everything. Like, I remember we literally cut school and, like, about 10 of us took the L down, went down, and got tickets for the Phillies game. And the best part is, like, I got back, like, Phillies game ends at 4. By the time you got home, it was like 4:30 or whatever. Quick story. My mom was like, "Oh," she was, "Would you have to stay after class today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got detention or whatever." And then my mom looked at me. I go in my room, or whatever. She comes in my room like, "So was the Phillies game fun?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "How'd you know I went?" She goes, "Yeah, I saw you and all your friends jumping around." She goes, "When the guy hit the home run," she goes, "I saw the highlights on the news. Here, I made the news and didn't even know it." And like everybody the next day is like, yo, dude, they're like, we ain't going with you no more. They're like, because you were jumping up and down on the home run, our parents seen it. It's like all of us got cut.
It's the
Oh,
nightmare.
Jesus.
It's the typical nightmare. It's like you play hooky, whether it's through school or work. You go to a Phillies game and you get put on camera because you catch like a foul ball or something. And you're like, oh damn! Now my boss knows where I am.
Listen, I had a coworker of mine call out. Right, said he was sick, and literally our boss is home watching. And this is when Tommy was here. It was the last year of the vet. Dude hits a shot, and the ball bounces, and like some random guy catches it. But right next to the guy is my buddy who called out of work, and our boss has seen him jump up and down. So he turns around. He comes in the next day. He goes, boss just looks at him and goes, I see you're feeling better, Mike. His name was Mike too. He's like, I see you're feeling better, Mike. He goes, yeah, I just had a bug. And he pulled him aside. He goes, if you want off to go to the Phillies game, he's like, just tell me you got tickets to the Phillies game. He goes, don't tell me that you're sick. And then I see you on the 5 o'clock news jumping around like a 3-year-old. And he's like, he ended up losing his job, but it wasn't over that. But it was so funny. Like, it's just the most random stuff that you get caught doing.
Yeah.
So let's move on. We would be remiss to have Mike on without having a little puck talk. The Philadelphia Flyers. Now, they had a disappointing game. Me and James did the post game.
Yeah.
Disappointing game on Thursday with the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Keystone Clash looked like the Keystone Crash. But my first question to you, Mike, is what's your overall impression of the Flyers this season so far?
I'm loving the direction they're going in. I love it. And you got these young kids playing great. The line of Cates, Forrester, and Brink has been playing out of their minds. Like you guys had the call Thursday night. I had the call on It's a Wrap Tuesday night. I did the post game for the Flyers in that 6-1 win. And I'll tell you what, that game to me was these two back-to-back games, you could just tell that goalie for Pittsburgh, man, I feel sorry for him. He's been lit up for like 15 goals over his last 3 games.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Like, he's been lit up like a Christmas tree. The one thing I took from the games between Tuesday and Thursday was the play of the Penguins. And I'm going to be honest with you, for 5 of the 6 periods of those games, the Pittsburgh Penguins look slow. They look old. And they look disinterested. I don't know what happened in that third period. I'm going to be honest with you. I fell asleep, and it was 4-2 Flyers the other night. So when I heard that they lost in overtime, I just figured that kind of happens. But that's Sam Erison in a nutshell. This dude could make saves all game long, and then all of a sudden it just goes. What happened?
Yep.
So, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing from that Brinks, Forrester, and Noah Cates line. I feel like Owen Tippett has starting to get going now as well. The guy they got from Calgary. Kuzmenko. I feel like him being around the young kid is helping him. I'll tell you what, Mitchkov the other night, I gave him honorable mention. My 3 stars were the Cates, Forrester, and Brinks line, but he had honorable mention because my man was flying all over the ice, and he had like 8 shots on net.
Mm-hmm.
And could have had a couple goals, which I thought was funny because Thursday he ended up getting a couple goals. Yep. So I'm loving what I'm seeing, man.
Number 1 goal scorer amongst rookies. I mean, I don't remember. I brought this up on the post game.
He's only going to get better, man. He's only going to get better.
I brought this up on the post game, and maybe you can recall, maybe. I don't remember the Flyers ever having a rookie that led the league in goal scoring in their rookie
It's been
season.
a while.
It's been a long time.
Probably Lindros.
Maybe
Lindros. Maybe I wouldn't say Claude Giroux, but I wouldn't know.
Nah, Giroux was never like he put the puck in the net, but he was more. Giroux
he was more assist points.
Well, he was a sniper up until Yager came here. When Yager came here,
right.
Yager taught him how to be an assist guy too.
Yeah.
His best season was when Yager was here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but but I really like what I'm seeing from them. The defense to me has been playing really good. Again, blocking shots left and right. They've just been doing everything that they've needed to do, man. And I know they're not where they want to be. Could they get in? I think it would be great if they get in. I think they got a legit chance. I mean, they only got like 20 some games left.
Yes.
But they can get in. They can get in. But they're playing really good hockey right now. I mean, listen, they lost the other night, but they got a point out of it. So as long as they consider, they keep getting points, they're not that far out. What are they, like 4 points out of a playoff?
4 points out of the 8th spot. I think.
Right. They're 4 points. And I think the 7th spot's only like 6 points away or 5 points. So they're right there. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like, let them go. But I'll tell you what, this core group of young guys are starting to play together. And I'll tell you what, it's going to get exciting because you're going to get veterans who are going to want to come to Philadelphia now and play with these young. They're going to want to play with a guy like Noah Cates. They're going to want to play with Tyson Forrester, Bobby Brinks, Matt Mitchkoff. They're going to want to play with these guys. My thing is they got to get rid of some of the stalwarts. And I'm talking about the offseason. I love Coots. If you're going to keep him around, that's fine. But Scott Lawton's got to go. Scott Lawton shows up like twice. He shows up like once a month.
I mean, that was my next question. The trade deadline's coming up. Would you move? Who would you rather move? And I think I already know the answer: Scott Lawton or Rasmus Ristolainen.
I would move both of them because you're going to get, especially with Risto. You're going to get a lot back for Risto. What's the guy's name? Kovalenko or Kovachenko? The guy we just got from
Kuzmenko.
Yeah, Kuzmenko. I would trade him. Get rid of his $5 million. Get it off the books. Okay.
The rumor out there, and I'm not sure if this is far-fetched, but the rumor out there is that big trade that the Carolina Hurricanes made. That guy's not happy in Carolina, and Carolina's having a hard time signing him to an extension.
Who did they trade for?
James. It's the guy from the
Hurricanes. Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
Rantanen.
Really?
So Rantanen is not happy in Carolina, and Carolina has had a difficult time signing him to an extension. So there's rumors out there that they might trade him away.
Yeah.
I'll bring him in.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really seen too much about the hockey trade deadline yet of some of the rumors. I'm just going off of what the Flyers have. TK, is not going anywhere.
Right.
He's still probably young enough to be a part of this nucleus.
Yes.
But guys like Couturier, Ristolainen, Kuzmenkov, I can see them moving them, and I really do. We have the Clear the Ice show over on It's a Rap Sports Network. We had a post. If you go back on our network, we did a me, Maddie, and Sal did a kind of midway point Flyers show, midway Clear the Ice, talking about going forward, and we brought Maddie brought up some really good points, man. They could save a lot of money just by getting rid of Kovalenko, Ristolainen, and Lawton. Yeah. You get rid of those three right there. Like the Flyers are going to have so much money under the cap, and like I said, the way that these young core guys are playing right now, like there's going to be people that are going to want to come here and play. Like they're going to want to come play with Noah Cates and Forrester and Brink and Mitchkoff and TK. Like think about that. Like the Flyers almost got like two lines of really good players, and I'm not even talking about like you get. I like the muck and grind line too with Hathaway. Yeah,
I
love his line. Like they get in Delorier, Hathaway. Like, yeah, come on. What's the other guy's name?
Paling.
I love that line too. Bunch of mucking and grinders. You know what I mean? Like the Flyers are really building something towards it. My only thing is, I hope they give. It's really weird that I'm saying this because I couldn't stand the guy when they hired him, but I really hope that they give Tortorella a chance to coach this team in once they reach a prominent playoff positioning, because I don't want to see them like they finally get here and then they're like, okay, well, they got to hear, okay, John, well, it's been real, and then they put them to the side. You know what I mean? I want to see them give
full Brett Brown.
Right. I want to see them. Excuse me, guys. I want to really see them give Tortorella a chance because I feel like Tortorella has done a really good job here. I told you, me and Pat, when the news broke that he was going to be the Flyers head coach, I went up and down the Flyers because I was like, you got to be kidding me. But I must say, like, as far as from what I only seen from the outside looking in with him, where he was at his other places. Now I'm seeing like what he's doing, but I also feel like he's also a changed coach. I also feel like he's kind of calmed down a little bit. Like you kind of saw his teeth the other night when Hathaway got blindsided.
Oh
yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
my question is, do you think that this team, I mean, at some point they're going to continue to grow and they're going to continue to build and put pieces around this nucleus? Well, my question is and it's been debated with me and James, is that this team doesn't have a starting goaltender. They have two backups and a starting AHL goaltender. If you count all the goaltenders they have, up and down on this team.
listen, you know what kills me? Cal Peterson, who's starting right now for the Phantoms, is making $5 million a year. Let that sink in for a second, Joe and James. Let that sink in. Set that in. An AHL goalie is making $5 million a year.
What the hell is he doing down there at $5 million a year?
Because he can't stop the puck up at the NHL level.
Who's the genius that signed him for $5 million?
Chuck Fletcher.
Of course.
Oh boy.
Of course.
So
why not buy him out?
That's my whole thing in a nutshell. But I like the fact the Flyers they have abundance of goalies, believe it or not. They have some goalies in the minor system coming up. So you have to just hope that they continue to draft well. Again, sometimes starting goalies, you never know. Like I think this is real. I don't count last year against Erickson that bad because he basically got thrown into the fire. He came as a backup, and then all of a sudden, Carter Hart's not allowed to play hockey no more.
Right.
He's not allowed in the States. So he's got to stay up there until this sexual whatever charge.
Do you think that the Flyers are going to draft or trade for a starting goaltender?
They could. I mean, the Flyers got pieces to trade away.
Right.
So again, it all depends. Like you may be able to get a decent free agent goaltender who's out and about. Flyers may have to go pay for it.
Yeah.
So I'm liking everything that they're doing right now.
Yeah,
I really am.
Yeah. You gotta keep in mind something to keep in mind. This is what year 2 or year 1 really of the rebuild. Like
year 2
maybe.
Year 2.
That's not bad considering they have a chance to make the playoffs. And when you compare them to the process with the Sixers, this is how the Sixers should have done it. Yeah. This is how the Flyers are showing this is how it should be done. You shouldn't tank. You shouldn't create a losing mentality in the locker room and figure you could flip it on and off like a light switch.
Right.
The Flyers are saying we go out there to win every game. And if we win and we get to the playoffs with the nucleus that we have, great. We're ahead of schedule. If we don't, we have, like Mike said, pieces that we can trade away to kind of further the rebuilding process.
I'll tell you what, I watched the thing last night with Mike Rupp, former NHLer, and he brought up this point with the Flyers, okay? He said the Flyers are a team that this year, are they going to win the Cup this year? He said no. He said, are they going to win the Cup next year? No. He goes, could this Flyers team get into the postseason and steal around from somebody? Yeah. He said, this nucleus, this is where basically all the stuff that I was saying, I was watching him and he was pointing all this stuff out, Mike Rupp was. And he turned around and he goes, if they keep building this build the way that they're going, he said the Flyers are going to be around for a long time. He said, and if you're looking at it, you look at the young teams in the NHL right now, especially in our division. Our division, really, the 3 youngest teams right now are the Flyers, the Devils, and I believe I
think it's the Hurricanes, is it?
No, not youngest.
Oh, not youngest. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the Islanders. So,
okay.
So you figure they're the three youngest teams right now. Now the older teams in our division, you're looking at Pittsburgh, you're looking at the Rangers, you're looking at Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carolina's kind of in that middle.
Yeah.
Like they have some young talent, but they got some older vets too. So,
Right.
like those three teams are going to be making their way back down. I mean, God, look how far the Rangers fell. They were prime. They were just like in like Stanley Cup. They were like in the Eastern Conference
At the
Finals.
Stanley Cup Finals, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like now they're like in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Like the Flyers ain't too far away behind them in points. So it's like, come on. So
yeah.
Well, look, I think there's a lot to look forward to with the Flyers and upcoming, but we're going to wrap it up for today. But I wanted to give a special thank you to Mike Lauro for coming on, and doing kind of around the sports scene in Philadelphia. But where can people find you, Mike, and where can people listen to you?
You can find me on It's a Wrap Sports. I cover Clear the Ice, which is the Flyers right now. I will be let's just say our former band that usually used to come on Sunday mornings, the PM and the AM show. Technically, right now we're working some kinks out, but that should be returning within the near future.
Nice.
Also, Locker Room Sports Show. I will be debuting back. I will be waiting towards the end of summer for that. I'll be doing that with the football seasoning. But right now, I'm only doing It's a Wrap and doing spot guest appearances like you guys. So you can reach me at Mike Lauro Sports on X. My real name is Mike Lauro on Facebook. You can reach out to me there as well. But other than that, guys, I really appreciate you guys having me on. I'm glad to see you guys are doing so well. Mitchie Pooh's doing his thing over here at Hardcore Sports, and so I'm happy to see you guys are doing well.
Yeah, we appreciate you, brother.
Oh man, I appreciate you guys having me on. It isn't Saturday morning, without getting up and listening to you guys. And by the way, too, the next time you guys see Dame, yeah, you can let him know that I was right about that.
Dave's been in witness protection program.
Yeah. He told me I was out of my mind about trading Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you can just let him know I said hi.
I've been reaching out. Dave's been busy, but I think he's also in the witness protection program because he's like, I don't want to show my face with this nonsense because man, he not only died. While we're giving like our hellos, you go over and you say hi to Matty B and say, how's Howie Roseman feeling now? How is Howie Roseman looking now?
Yeah. Well, listen, I as somebody who stood on a hill by himself, I understand where I understand where Matty's coming from, with his view. But we kind of give it to him. I mean, if you don't agree with Matty right away, he puts up the big picture of Big Al's super Homer Emporium or whatever it is, which is pretty cool. But it's all right. I mean, look, that's just Matty being Matty, but I will definitely pass along you guys' hellos to those guys. And like I said, man, we'll be when I get my stuff going, we'll chat, we'll definitely chat, get you guys back over.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Doing something with the locker room. You know how Joey, like I said, we used to do our picks every week. I more or less about I'm actually saving the Locker Room for Sports Show for football season. I'm only going to do it during football season as something sort of kind of fun and, everybody coming in, making their picks and, what games do you like? I really want to make it kind of, a big interactive thing. So that's why I'm looking, later on. But that'll be something down the line. But I will say this. I know definitely PM and the AM is definitely looking like it's going to be making its return over there, over on It's a Wrap Sports on Sunday morning. So
I know where I can find Tush Talk.
Yes. On Sunday morning. And hot dogs, and I'm pretty sure Pat's probably got a hot dog down his throat somewhere right about now.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. But if we're going to give teasers of shows before we completely wrap, one of the things me and James, it was a project that me and James worked on for a while. We kind of shelved it because of other things that had happened. We're thinking about bringing it back. It's a small program called Philly Famed Legends. It's a profile piece where me and James will discuss individual, Hall of Fame like caliber players in Philly sports history. And it's really going to be kind of like the 30 for 30, but like under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you want a quick pick me up and like a profile piece and learn more about Philly sports and some of the legends that built it. You'll be able to check out Philly Fame Legends later on when me and James get that up and running in the next couple weeks.
Looking
But
forward to it, brother.
yeah, but for Mike Lauro, for my great producer over there, James Scorza,
Got it.
Marks. This is the Patterson Ave Sports Show, and we are out. Have a good Saturday, everybody.
Later.